I was stigmatized. I experienced stigma that time. I experienced people talking behind my back. Some of my friends who saw me would say, "Have you seen Rose lately? Looks like there's something happening with her. Kama amekanyanga waya." Something like that. And these are your friends.
Rose mentioned that she got admitted. She was in what is called an erythrodermic stage. It's usually like an acute flare. So the patient will be very sick. Their whole skin will be peeling off. So after, like when you are admitted at that time, the treatment is very aggressive. But as you improve, even the dosages go down. The dosages of the medication will go down. Even right now we even stagger the treatment. You could be on daily treatment. Now we start even twice weekly. You can even do once a week, depending on how how stable you are. Yes.
Every story matters and every voice deserves to be heard. Hello and welcome to Behind the Diagnosis. To everyone who continues to watch, share and support this show, thank you for being part of this community. This is a space where we listen, we learn, and we shine a light on real stories from rare and autoimmune conditions to life-changing medical moments. If you are watching us for the first time, karibu sana, and please subscribe to the channel and follow us across all our social media platforms so you don't miss any stories that deserve to be heard. I am your host, Esther Ashira. Today, we are talking about psoriasis, a chronic inflammatory skin condition that goes far beyond the surface of the skin. To help us begin with a medical understanding, let's hear from our specialist, Dr. Jen.
So psoriatic disease is a chronic multisystem immune-mediated inflammatory condition that presents on the skin. On the skin, it will present with what we call well-demarcated red scaly patches, or sometimes in dermatology could call them plaques, especially when they are raised. So that is the simplest definition I can give it.
Wow. Thank you, Daktari. Now that we understand the basics, let's hear from someone living with psoriasis. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Rose Boit. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Good to have you here today. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Rose Boit. I suffer from psoriasis. I've had psoriasis for the last 15 years. I am a retired public servant. I am a mother of 2 and a grandmother of 2 also. And thanks for having me here.
Wow. Thank you too for coming, and we appreciate your presence here. So you said you've had, or you were diagnosed 15 years ago. And that means you are in your adult stage. So you never had any symptoms before? Or how was your life before? Or is it something that you ignored? Or it took long to be diagnosed?
I had never had a skin disease before. It just began with an itch on my head. My head began itching. One side of the head began itching. And after some time, it went to the other side of the head. And it was not the whole head. It was just a point on the head. And it would itch, I would scratch. And then the skin peels off. And then I scratch the other side, the skin peels off. And it went on for some time. But I ignored it because it was not disturbing me so much. And later on, I saw a doctor. And the doctor said I had a fungal infection. So for about a year, I lived with the fungal treatment, but it never went. And later on, after 1 year, is when I got a whole flare on my body. I had all these red, rashes all over my body from head to toe. And then they were very itchy. So I went to see the doctor. And the doctor told me he did not actually understand what it was. So he removed a skin biopsy from my thigh, and he took it to the lab, and I was admitted to hospital. Then the next day, he came in and he told me, "Rose, you have psoriasis." I had never heard of psoriasis. I did not even know how to pronounce it. So my journey began then.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So your reaction, you've been told, I'm sure you had so many questions. Like, yeah, what was the first reaction when you were told you have psoriasis?
I got a shock because I did not know what it was. Remember, I'm lying in bed, itching and all that. I was in shock. But then the doctor understood what psoriasis was. And that's the late Dr. Waweru. May the Lord rest his soul in peace. So my journey began then. So I was on treatment because it was all over my body. I was on treatment, both oral and topical creams. I stayed in hospital for about a week. And then after that, I went home and I started now with the medication from then.
So was it that, like, how serious? Is it painful? Like, I would not have thought that you were admitted because of it.
Yes.
How serious was it?
Yeah, it was painful and itchy. So every time I would ask, but the medication that I was given stops the itch. And then now, because the doctor said this is something that is not on the surface, it's something that is coming from inside. So I had to take the oral medication.
So did it work?
After a week, it actually cleared from the face, but inside I still had a lot of from the face and the whole body. It cleared after 1 week. But then later on now, pole, the medication, I was on medication for quite some time. Yes.
Yeah. So do you still medicate up to now, or it stopped?
Yeah. Psoriasis has no treatment so far. So the medication that you get is just to manage the situation. So when it goes down, then you thank God. But then it keeps on going, and then, it cannot again, they call it relapse. Yeah, and then it comes back again.
Yeah, I know psoriasis can be very visible. And this is something you are in your prime time age, and you've been told you have it, and you can even see the rashes. Did it affect you, your confidence, or did you continue with your life like normally?
That's it's a very painful situation or a position to be, because I had a clear skin for all my life, and then all of a sudden my face is full of rashes, and then when the rashes heal, they even become dark. So, and then you are itching, and you are scratching all over your body. So it was a very depressing moment for me. And I was stigmatized. I experienced stigma that time. I experienced people talking behind my back. For example, I'll tell you, some of my friends who saw me would say, "Have you seen Rose lately? Looks like there's something happening with her." I don't want to mention. There's something. Kama amekanyanga waya. Something like that. And these are your friends. And remember, psoriasis is it's not infectious. And but it was showing on my face. So I looked so bad, and on my hands and all over. So this lady felt a little bit insecure with me. So they start stigma. And again, when you know, like how we hug people here in Kenya every time, when you want to hug somebody, they move their heads, you know, like very far from you. So there's that stigma. And even at place of work, I may not have been stigmatized myself, but the colleagues that I have in the association say that they were really stigmatized. Yeah.
Wow. At any point, did you ever seek therapy to help you? Were you affected mentally?
Yes, I didn't. I didn't seek therapy per se, but we have an association called Psoriasis Association of Kenya, which gives with the we meet, and with the doctors, and sometimes they talk to us, sometimes they counsel us also there, and we feel we are one, we share experiences, and we feel we are one, and you feel you are supported. That's the time we even hug, because we know we do, we hug, we feel loved. When I go to the psoriasis meetings, I feel I'm at home.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you are with people who understand what you're going through.
Yes.
Wow. So did you join almost immediately, or did you even know that there are other people with psoriasis?
I didn't even know. In fact, I tried to look for people. Immediately I was told that I was suffering from psoriasis. I tried to look for people who had psoriasis. And at that time, I did not know there was an association. So later on, I went to a salon, and I told the lady, because I had all these rashes on my head, I told the lady not to be scared, because my condition is not infectious. Then she told me, she asked me, what are you suffering from? Then I told her. Luckily, there is a lady who had psoriasis, and she had actually done the honors of sending pamphlets, into, to the saloons. And and I was told, okay, there's this lady who is sick, and she has got this is her number. Can you reach out to her? So I reached out to her, and she has had also psoriasis for quite some time. And we go to meet, and she told me about the association. So I joined the association about 4 years maybe later.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, but all this time I was alone suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. How has that helped you?
It has really helped me in the sense that now I have a belonging. I know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And we share. And, in the association also, the doctors come in, especially when we have our World Psoriasis Day, when we celebrate, when we have create awareness.
Yeah.
So the doctors come in and they explain to us how to manage the condition, and how to, the causes, and even if there is any new medication that has been discovered. And secondly, also, Esther, last year, I was appointed into an international organization called GRAPPA. GRAPPA is an international organization based in Seattle, America. So I joined there as what they call a PRP. PRP is Patient Research Partner, because GRAPPA is a group of research of patients with psoriasis and psoriasis arthritis. Yeah, so I joined there now. They do research on psoriasis, and right now they keep on doing what affects, to psoriasis patients, what medication works, and also to try to make life easy for patients with psoriasis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a good thing what you're doing. And you are an advocate, right? For psoriasis?
Yes.
You're part of the people who are advocating and speaking out loud about psoriasis.
Yes.
That's a very good job you're doing, because not many people have heard about psoriasis, for sure. For sure, not many people. And we need people to hear this. Sometimes someone might just treat it as a skin disease and not know where to go. But at least with what you're mentioning, it will help someone who is watching us right now, who will hear this, who will see this, to know where they need to go and what they need to do. Is there something that triggers flare-ups?
Yes, it is said that it's genetic, but psoriasis also can be triggered by stress. It can also be triggered by alcohol. I hear alcohol can make it worse.
Yeah.
Even pollution, a lot of, but research is still ongoing. But in my situation, now later on when I knew it was psoriasis, I learned that my situation actually was triggered by stress. I went through a long period of like 3 months of continuous stress. And that is when I began itching. So in my situation, I think it was triggered by stress.
By stress.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So is this something that you're doing to control it? Before, because I know you're on remission right now, but before that, when there are rashes all over, are you able to work normally? Say even doing laundry, dishes. Is it painful when you touch water, or how is it?
It's not painful when you touch water, but when you touch some creams, when you touch even during the COVID season, washing my hand was a big challenge because I would itch a lot.
Oh.
When you wear some clothes, and your body becomes hot, then the itching starts. So most of the time we have to wear loose and cotton clothes. And that's also expensive when you have to change all your wardrobe. And then again, when the itching, it's also very uncomfortable, itching and scratching. And when you scratch, sometimes even there's blood, and some of the blood even can be on your clothes. And then sometimes when you're scratching your head, there's a lot of what do you call white, like dandruffs. Yeah, it can be all over your clothes. And sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you find that they are all those the skin, the rashes have come out, and they are all over your clothes.
Yeah. So for you to get to where you are right now, there is the treatment management.
Yes.
How is it like? Like, just give us the routine that helps you to get where you are at.
Okay. I have to go to my doctor. I have to be close to the doctor. It's always advisable because it's not good to buy medicine off the counter. So I have to stick closer to my doctor, who will always assess my situation, and then they'll give medication. And the medication usually is oral medication, and then topical medication, creams, and that. And then sometimes also, because some of the side effects of the medication, oral medication that we take, affects our internal organs. So you find yourself you're sent to the lab every other time before they prescribe some medication. So I'm on oral medication, and then also I am on topical medication to apply on the areas that are affected. So like for the head, you have some shampoo, maybe you have some medication for the head, then you have the other, creams for the body. Sometimes you even have different creams for the face, because the skin of the skin on the face is very tender. So you have those for the skin on the face. You have so many types of medication.
Wow.
And it's quite expensive.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Wow. So what will you tell someone who has just been diagnosed with psoriasis?
Yeah, we all get sick. And diseases, when you're on earth,
Yeah.
we will get sick. And psoriasis can be shocking, but we should just accept that it is a disease like any other. And we should not get shocked. We accept the situation. And once we see the doctor, then the doctor will always manage to see a dermatologist. And the doctors, once they've discovered it, it is manageable. And I'll tell them also not to panic and to join the Psoriasis Association, because it has really helped me.
Yeah.
And it will help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you like someone who probably did not know about psoriasis and they're listening right now, and they probably have had a different reaction to someone who has psoriasis?
For people should be sympathetic. When you see somebody with anything, everybody should have a smooth skin. But when you see somebody with a rough skin, like an unusual, even if it's a growth, even if it's anything, we should really not be judgmental. We should not rejoice that so and so is this. And we should be sympathetic to one another and to be human. And also, as I said, psoriasis is non-infections. So we should be able to even reach out. Once we know somebody has psoriasis, we should be able to reach out and give somebody, a hand, say pole, but not to shun people who are sick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because no one chooses to be sick.
Sure.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your heart and just pouring out and helping us understand what it is to be diagnosed with psoriasis. Asante sana. I am sure there are those who've learned, and this will help someone else somewhere know what to do when they find themselves in that situation. Wow.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And we have a surprise for you. There are good people out here, and we are lucky enough to know some of them. We have our sponsors, and they are called Longreach Innovative Healthy Living. And they decided we gift you something. So thank you for accepting to come and share our stories, and go use this and tell someone about Longreach Kenya. So I will let you see what we have. This is a sunscreen for you. We have a sunscreen. We put it here. And a nice cream. Yes, this is a very good rejuvenating body lotion. And it's formulated with, there are a number of things here. I think we will do the write-up and put it on the screen so that those who are watching and they are interested, they can also find the information that is all here, because this is wonderful. But it hydrates and it softens the skin. So this one is also for you. And they also have a nice bamboo charcoal soap, also good for the skin. And because you are a lady, they said, Mama has to have something good. So Longreach has so many products, and we will put their number on the screen and where they can be found. So if you need some of these products, it's easy. If you want shampoo, they have nice shampoo, they have lotion, and so many, even supplements. There are so many things that Longreach has, and they have been amazing partners to us. And I am so glad that we get to gift Rose this, so that she can have a taste of what Longreach has. So, this is for you, Mama. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And enjoy this.
Asante sana.
Thank you. Wow, thank you so much, Rose. We really appreciate and thank you for sharing your story and for just helping us understand what psoriasis really is. And to help us explore what we've heard more deeply, I will now be joined by Dr. Jen. Karibu sana, Daktari. Good to have you here. Please introduce yourself.
So my name is Dr. Jen Achungo. I'm a senior registrar in dermatology, and we basically manage a psoriatic disease.
Wow.
Yes.
So in a layman's language, in a language that we can all understand, what is psoriasis?
So psoriatic disease is a chronic, multisystem, immune-mediated inflammatory condition that presents on the skin. On the skin, it will present with what we call well-demarcated red scaly patches, or sometimes in dermatology could call them plaques, especially when they are raised. So that is the simplest definition I can give it.
Wow.
Yes.
So is it classified as an autoimmune disease?
Yes, so we call it an inflammatory immune-mediated because there's a lot of inflammation happening and it's all immune-driven. So it like propagates itself and it's just like a continuous process. So it could still go for an autoimmune disease because basically your immunity is what is dysfunctional, and that's why you are having the abnormal reaction.
Wow.
Yes.
Is it gender based, or it affects everyone?
So there's the genetic part. So basically they say people who have a genetic predisposition will be like a third of the total number of patients. So sometimes when a patient is diagnosed, we try to look for a family member who has had, although you might not find, because some people have what is called hidden psoriasis, which I might mention later on. So it is genetically predetermined. It can affect any age. Male and female almost equal, but there is what is called epidemiologically like a bimodal age distribution. There are those peaks that have been seen by most studies. They say in childhood 15 to 25, then there is a 50 to 60, but still any age can be affected. And then any gender can be affected. Although when we look at the risk factors, we will see why it would also be different for the different genders because of the risk factors that are involved. Yes, yes.
Wow. So is there a certain part of the body that it affects, or it is just anywhere or random?
So we have majorly the skin manifestation. And I've mentioned the lesion that we'll look at, which is well demarcated. It's red and it's a scaly patch or plaque. Although on the skin of color, our skin, we call it in dermatology a skin of color, it will not appear as red. It appears as purplish or sometimes dark. But on the other skin types, you'll find it appearing the real red. You'll see it's a very red scaly patch. So you find it mostly, some people will present with scalp, and then the knee area and the elbow and the lower back. Those are the commonest sites. But as it starts to spread, it can involve any part of the skin, but it will mostly come on. The first part will be the extensors. So you see the knee is already on the extensor. This is the extensor part. So it will affect this part and affect this part. On the legs, it will affect this is the elbow, then this is the knee, so it will affect this part. But then the scalp is also one of the commonest areas that are affected. Although you might find it now involving other parts of the skin, like the nails. So we have the specific nail changes of psoriasis. So there's something called oncolysis. So the nails will just be breaking and peeling off. Some people just have what is called pitting. So when you look at their nails, like someone was pricking on that nail. Some nails have what are called ridges, so like lines on it. Some nails will have even nail color changes. Some nails will have what is called subungual hyperkeratosis, like the nail under it there's something lifting the nail and there's a lot of scale forming under the nail. So those nail changes are very helpful, especially when we want to diagnose clinically, because in our skin of color, psoriasis would look like something different. Like Rose has mentioned, she was treated for fungal infection for like a year. I'm sure by that time she had some nail changes on her nails. So if that person would have taken time maybe to look at those nails, would have seen this is not just fungal, it is beyond what it is. Apart from the skin, you heard me calling it psoriatic disease, because that is the new name we are calling it, because we now know that it's no longer just on the skin, it can affect other organs. So you can get psoriatic arthritis, and what we say also, the nail changes are a clue, because like 2/3 of patients who have nail changes also get psoriatic arthritis. So it's a clue for you to also be able to investigate these patients' joints and look at them, and also alert them that if they get any joint symptoms, they should come for further assessment. It can affect the heart. You can even have what is called central nervous system involvement with the psoriatic disease. So that's why we call it a chronic multisystem inflammatory disease. It's just not on the skin.
So it's easy to diagnose it because of what appears on the skin.
On the skin of color, it's difficult. It's difficult. You have to have a high index of suspicion. You have to check for other clues, like I've mentioned, the nail changes. And now you go ahead, if you're as the doctor, you do what is called a skin biopsy. The way it appears on the microscope, it has very distinctive features that will help you to diagnose. I think that is too much science if I go into it, but there's just a way it looks on the slide. Any pathologist looking at it will know this is psoriasis. Now that biopsy diagnosis, the histological diagnosis will back up the clinical diagnosis. Now you have a definitive diagnosis for this patient, and you start them on treatment.
Yes. So what's the treatment like?
Treatment, as the patient presents, we assess what is called a PASI. It's called a Psoriasis Area Severity Index. We are assessing how much of the body that is involved, and that will determine how the kind of treatment we start them on. So initially, before we started all of them on systemic treatment, like 90% of them, the severity index of less than 10% will be classified as mild, as long as it's not on special areas. Special areas, I'll mention them. So that one, they just apply creams. So there are creams that are called steroids. They will apply. Some steroids are mixed with what are called vitamin D analogs. So they are mixed. So they are apply on that part that is affected. And if the Rose had mentioned, like for face, we'll use a different cream, milder ones that are good for the face. You also have psoriasis involving the joints, the what are called intertriginous areas, like the axilla, the inguinal area. Those ones you don't also apply very strong medications. So that will use different creams. Then now there are the systemic treatments. Systemic treatments will involve tablets, they are injectables, which sometimes we do as IV or even subcutaneous injections. And there are quite a number. But there are those conventional treatments that were there that have been used over the years. The likes of, maybe I can mention this methotrexate, the cyclosporin, those ones have been used over years. But with continuous research, scientists have studied this immune system, how it is reacting. And there are those particular components, especially they are called cytokines, that have been identified that they are the ones which are fueling this inflammatory process. So there are medications which have been developed to counter that. They are called biologics. So some of our patients are on those biologics. They come to the wards, we admit them. They are administered, they get some injections every 4 weeks. But even as they improve, the medications you start scattering more. You start like maybe every 2 months, every 6 months. Then there are those ones who are given there are also biologics that are in form of tablets. Something called apremilast. So that one they swallow, but it's a biologic. It's like a targeted treatment, targeting that particular part of the immune system. So the medications are varied, and sometimes some patients also are on combination treatment. You'll find a patient is on both injectables and they're also on the oral Some patients are also on injectable and they're on creams. Some patients are also on light therapy, which is called phototherapy. So phototherapy can also be combined with the tablets. It can also be combined with those ones that are called biologics. So your doctor will assess the severity. And Rose mentioned that things like shampoos, because hers, it was the scalp that was affected. This scalp will keep forming very thick scales that will flake even when you sleep. You find they're on the bed, everywhere. So those shampoos are formulated with that are called keratolytics to help those scales to flake off. They also on emollients, just moisturizers for their skin, because this skin will also be very itchy. Sometimes when they apply the emollients, they help. So the medications are very diverse, depending on also the complications you are presenting by the time you come. Because I mentioned joint involvement. So there are patients who come with joint involvement, what we call psoriatic arthritis. Those ones are also on specific treatment that will target to now cover both the skin and the joint involvement. Yes.
Wow. How economical is it? Because I'm sure you've seen so many.
They are very expensive. The medications are expensive, especially the ones I'm mentioning, the latest ones, the biologics. So you find some patients are able to afford, some are not able to afford. So that limits how we also treat them. Something like I mentioned methotrexate versus cyclosporin. You find like a cyclosporin is very expensive, like 20K per month for a full dose. So you find some patients will not be able to afford. So sometimes, because this is a chronic disease. When you are starting your patient on treatment, you want it to be a sustainable treatment, because you don't want them to drop off. Yes. So sometimes you also assess and you try to balance between the efficacy and the being able to sustain that treatment for that particular patient.
Okay.
So they are not cheap. In addition to the supportive that we've mentioned, the moisturizers and yes, the shampoos. It's an expensive disease. Yes.
So if someone can't afford the 20K one, is there like how do you assist them? And they've come, they need to be assisted.
Some of the patients, we encourage them to get insurance, especially the national one, so that we are able to even admit them and give them the IV, the injectable medications. There are support groups that also support. Some drug companies also donate for some of our patients who are in the ward and they're completely unable to buy, so they get those donations. But it's also about the patient availing themselves, because some would disappear and they come back when they should use application. Because like psoriatic arthritis, if you just play around with it, your fingers will deform, the wrists. By the time you come, even if you are started on the best treatment, you can't reverse the whole process. In addition to medication, they have tests that they do, because the medications are not very nice to the body. I would say that in the layman's language. So like a patient who is on methotrexate, they have to have their liver checked every other time they meet the doctor, and their kidneys. So those tests are also not cheap. They have to, even the cost of just seeing the doctor is also a cost. Yeah, so sometimes you find even in the national hospital, that cost, that consultation fee, some patients are not able to afford. But how we sometimes try to go around it, as they improve, you widen their review dates, because it's a chronic disease. Rose said she's been with it 15 years. I did a study on psoriatic arthritis, and most of my patients had been with it between 5 years to 15 years. That's a long time. So there's that part where, as a patient stabilizes, you try to widen. Instead of seeing them in 3 months, you say 6 months, and you also assess their level of compliance. There are those ones you'll tell 6 months, by the time they are seeing you, they already stopped the medication at month 3. Yeah, so there's that part where you try to widen the review dates and see how you can be able to go around it. Even for the medications, when we are starting treatment, Rose mentioned that she got admitted. She was in what is called an erythrodermic stage. It's it's usually like an acute flare. So the patient will be very sick. Their whole skin will be peeling off. So after, like when you're admitted at that time, the treatment is very aggressive. But as you improve, even the dosages go down. The dosages of the medication will go down. Even right now, we even stagger the treatment. You could be on daily treatment. Now we start even twice weekly. You can even do once a week, depending on how how stable you are. Yes.
And Rose mentioned about relapse. What are the triggers?
So the disease is a chronic disease, and that is one thing we counsel the patients. They have to know that it's a lifelong treatment, but there are things that will happen along the way. Even you find that patient was very stable, they are tipped off. So stress is one of the studies have shown is one of the leading triggers. But the other triggers that have been shown are alcohol and smoking. So our patients, we really encourage them to cease alcohol and smoking. There are drugs. There are some drugs that are used even for hypertension, antimalarials. They are able to trigger psoriasis. Infections. A simple throat infection can trigger a flare of psoriasis. Even with withdrawal of treatment, someone was on treatment and they stop, you get a flare up. There's also something called the Kobna phenomenon, is where when you get injury on the skin, that part where the injury has happened, it triggers a psoriasis plaque to start there. Yes, so sometimes you also encourage them to really take care of their skin to avoid those injuries. Some people will flare up during the summer when the sun is up. Some will improve. So those are now the minor triggers. But the major ones, alcohol, smoking, stress, those ones are major ones. Yes, they've been shown to be very major triggers, even for initial presentations. If someone was just okay, they went through a stressful event. I've seen people who have just finished their divorce process and they are coming with psoriasis. Yes. And the interesting part is that also being a psoriasis patient will stress you up. Yes, we have people who are stressed up and do this. We talked about stigmatization and even psychosocial, like relating. Some people are not married because you got psoriasis at 20. Now no one wants to come close to you. Even yourself, you fear relating with people. So as you get stressed up, it becomes like a vicious cycle. The disease is stressing you up and the stress is triggering more disease. So there's something we do as doctors. There's something called DLQI. So it's called Dermatology Life Quality Index. We are supposed to do it, although sometimes we don't do it because we have very long queues of patients, because we're not only seeing psoriasis, we are seeing other conditions while in the clinic. But the best way to administer it is a questionnaire. When a patient walks in, they are given, they feel, at least you'd be able to assess the impact of the disease on their quality of life and be able to know how to counsel them. Or even refer for psychiatry or psychosocial counseling, because it will also go a long way in helping in the healing process, because when the stress reduces, we heal better.
Oh yes. Wow. Is there a way or you've mentioned about alcohol and smoking, other lifestyle triggers?
So the other lifestyle triggers are like obesity. Obesity is also because there is a very big association between psoriasis and what is called metabolic disease. Metabolic disease is hypertension, obesity, what is called dyslipidemia. Yeah, so if those factors are also there, those are now the lifestyle factors. Those ones are also triggers of the disease. So some of the patients have also been encouraged to lose weight, exercise, watch your diet. Even when they're in the ward, we keep prescribing for them. We don't prescribe high calorie diet. We prescribe high protein diet to help their skin to heal. But you have to monitor your calories, because if you gain weight, there's an association. There's a way they interact. There's a way obesity state is said to be a pro-inflammatory. So it triggers the inflammation to go on. And this is a disease we are fighting against, an inflammatory process. Yeah. So
is it infectious?
No, it is not. We said it's genetic, Then there's those environmental factors we've talked about, then the immunity, those three things. So not infectious, we need to do a lot of awareness to people, because as much as I'll even treat you, especially in the skin of color, I'll treat you, you get healed, but you'll remain with the spots on your. So people need to know that this is not infectious. They are stigmatizing you. Yes, it's not
related to HIV.
No. There has not been any relation. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just good for people to know more about it, what it is, and also just be kind. Yeah, people need to be kind to each other. Wow. So support system, how do you doctors support psoriasis people?
So
Yes.
you heard about the Psoriasis Association of Kenya.
Yes.
So doctors are partly involved. Recently championed by the late Dr. Waweru, but right now we are also taking over those ones who remained behind. So there's always a World Psoriasis Month. It's actually a month which culminates into a World Psoriasis Day. So during that month, there's a lot of, like, we try to create awareness, then reach out to the patients, try to educate them, because like you find the newly diagnosed ones are struggling. Some people have been non-compliant to medication, but when they meet those who have been compliant and they've improved and they are doing better, they share their experience. Is that part of not having a medication, not being able to afford lab tests, they can be able to get support. But what we are trying to do is that we want to be able, because that's what Dr. Waweru was trying to do, to be able to have a register and be able to enlist it as one of the diseases that need to be covered by the insurance, one of the diseases that need to be listed so that even the people in the periphery get to be educated, because that is where the misdiagnosis starts. In the health center, when you show up with the psoriasis, they start treating you for fungal infection, and they will take time with you. By the time you are going to reach a place where someone will think of doing a biopsy for you, you're already getting complications. So that is one thing we also need, educating each other. There's also International Psoriasis Association, IPC, it's called International Psoriasis Council. They also train doctors. So they are those ones who train for fellowship. After you finish your master's in dermatology, you can go for a fellowship in psoriasis. We also have master classes for just the ones who are around, to just train them so that people know, how do we diagnose clinically, how do we do biopsies, such like things. Yes.
Wow. So as we wind up, I would like you to just tell our audience, or those people who are listening or watching, one thing that you have always, because you've seen so many patients, one thing that you will really want people to understand about psoriasis.
So one thing is that psoriasis is not contagious. So avoid stigmatizing the patients, because when you stigmatize them, they'll get stressed up and that will propagate their disease. So in case it's a close family member, give them support as much as possible. It goes a long way in their healing process. For the other people, for the patients, they should know when to seek care. Like we keep telling them in the clinics, if you have any other symptoms apart from the skin, you're feeling joint pains, seek care very fast, because the earlier you seek care, the better. Because like joint disease can be very destructive. By the time you are coming late, it can't be reversed. And even for just the general community, just keep supporting these patients. They need the support. And for the patients themselves, there is hope. There is hope because research is still ongoing until we've reached at the what is called molecular level. Initially, we were just treating symptoms. Then we started we're giving medications that are generally what are called immunosuppressants, so that we just go in and suppress the immunity to whom it may concern, and with a lot of side effects. When we are reaching to a point where we are targeting that what is called a cytokine. Which cytokine is it that is causing this thing? Is being targeted. So the more the science advances, there's hope. And even as much as we are saying it is not treatable, I think we'll reach a point where we can be able to treat. Yes, but it's also preventable, especially for those lifestyle triggers that we've talked about.
Wow. Wow, quite insightful. And someone is watching and they're like, where can I find you?
I'm available. I'm usually in KNH, but I'm also a doctor of Gertrude's Children's Hospital. So mostly I treat children. So that is, I can be found.
So can you share your contact?
Yes, you can. 0725 346 896. You can reach me on WhatsApp. You can give me a call. Yes.
You've heard she's readily available, and you've heard how much she's given us. And for one-on-one and more advice and care, please reach out to Dr. Jen and you will find help. Asante sana. And thank you.
Thank you
so much for coming.
Okay.
We really appreciate you.
Okay.
Wow. So today we've listened, we've learned, and we've been reminded that psoriasis is not just a skin condition. It's a chronic journey that affects the body, the mind, and everyday life. Here, we go beyond the diagnosis to the people, the impact, and the journey that follows. If you like to support this work, you can do so via our pay bill number that is on the screen. If you are living with a condition or know someone whose story deserves to be shared, reach us on 0701 300 799. Thank you for watching, and please remember to subscribe, like, share, help us reach a bigger audience so that everyone can know what psoriasis and other conditions that we cover are. Remember, every story matters and every voice deserves to be heard. See you next time.